FM25 is coming and fans are angry. If you've been searching the internet for news about Football Manager 25, you probably couldn't have helped but notice there has been a lot of negativity thrown around. Some of it justified, some of it quite wild, and so far wide of the mark, it's unreal. In this video, I want to give you my own personal opinion on where I'm currently at with regards to the launch. We'll talk about what we've been told, how we've been told it, and for some, most importantly, what we haven't been told. We know FM25 is coming out on the 26th of November, and it's approximately 3 weeks later than we usually see it. Not a huge problem. SI have already said they're moving the game from one engine that they built it on over into Unity, and I suppose it's only natural to expect some potential issues in that process. I mean, some games have had issues where releases have been delayed by 6 months, so in the grand scheme of things, 3 weeks, it's nothing, yeah? Well, having said that, some fans believe that by delaying the launch, Sports Interactive have inadvertently hinted that there might not be an early access or beta version of the game that you usually get when you pre-order it, via Steam. But it's worth saying at this point that SI haven't confirmed or denied the existence of a beta or early access program. So for me, I think this phrase that I'm about to use might become a bit of a catchphrase throughout this video. Let's just wait and see. And on the subject of pre-orders, some people felt that by announcing the release date and opening up the potential for pre-orders, that meant that we'd be getting shown some footage of the new match engine to whet our appetite and entice us into parting with our hard-earned cash. And I guess this is where a large portion of unrest has stemmed from. By announcing the move to Unity some 18 months ago, this raised fans' expectations because the move was heralded as a huge step forward for the future of Football Manager. What some people may have potentially misinterpreted is that that huge step forward might not happen in FM25. It might not be a giant leap from FM24, because let's face it, some people are still adamant that SI are just moving the FM24 match engine across to the new Unity platform, which, let's face it, we all know is simply not true. SI have said openly that they're rebuilding the match engine from the ground up, redoing motion capture of both men and women to ensure that the movement animations within the game are as close to realistic as they can make them within the confines of the match engine itself. They want the game to resemble real-life football. They want people to walk past a screen or a monitor, and for that person to be unsure as to whether they're watching a real match or playing a video game. But with that comes another problem. The physical demand on your computer to get the graphical elements, not to be confused with the match engine, two very, very different things, working at that high level, which of course means SI might have to cut ties with a large portion of its user base who play FM on older laptops. If you want the game to look like EAFC, then you're going to need to have about 60 to 70 gigabytes of available hard drive space. And many older laptops just simply don't have that capacity. Now, it's often easy to get the match engine and graphical animation, sort of match presentation, mixed up as one thing, but they are completely separate entities. And as such, it's probably worth explaining where I stand on the whole discussion. Now, I hear calls from fans that they want the graphics of the match to look better, and there's been many videos done by some great creators who've analysed how the graphics have or haven't changed over the last 10 years. And for me personally, I'm split on this. Because on the one hand, if I'm at home playing FM on my own, on my laptop, on my gaming PC, I'm not bothered what the match graphics look like. I'm fine as they are. I don't play FM for how it looks. I started in Champman 93 when it was just commentary. So I've been from that to where we are now. So I don't need those graphics. I understand for some people they absolutely do. However, as a streamer, I understand if I'm presenting a game as a viewing experience, then absolutely the game needs to take a massive step up in terms of its match day aesthetics. And if I had to choose though, and some said you can have the match graphics as they are now and a really stable game, or you can have state-of-the-art graphics, but you're going to have glitches and bugs in the match engine. Guess what? I'm taking the graphics we've got now. And I know that some of you are saying, well, why can't we have both? And I guess that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? EAFC doesn't have both, and we only use that as its closest comparison because it's also a football game. And while we're on the subject of EAFC, I think it's time to talk about comments relating to the new UI, the user interface. because there's been so many remarks made that FM now looks like a console game and it looks like a mobile game. And we're getting a stripped down game because SI just want to cater for console and mobile players, and we're being shortchanged and blah and blah and blah. And I don't buy it. I'm sorry, I don't buy it. We recently recorded an episode of the FM show with FM Console, and go and check that out to have a watch of the episode. And we had FM Console actually playing while we talked. And I think there's a couple of things that I would take from the console version and put into the PC version. And I think there's a few things I'd take from the PC version and put into the console version. Having looked at the screenshots that have come out recently, these work in progress screenshots of what the UI looks like, personally, I like it. I think it looks clean. I think it looks modern. I think it looks smart. I think, if we're being honest, Football Manager gives you a lot of information. A lot of it you don't necessarily need. So it's clutter on screen. Okay, I'm thinking about this like, you remember when we went from web to web 2.0, and websites went from being really busy to being really clean and just infinite scrolling and minimal. I think we're going that way with the presentation of FM now. They're never going to cut back the amount of data that's in the game, because that's what Football Manager prides itself on. It prides itself on the fact that it has all this information and data. But what I think it's going to do is I think it's going to present it in a more logical way. Because looking at how the UI is now, in terms of the base skin, the vanilla skin, or any of the custom skins that you use, shout out to Saz, shout out to Musterman, shout out to WTCS. Even with those customized skins, there's dead space on the screen. And some of the information doesn't necessarily need to be in your face. And SI have talked about moving towards a tiles and cards system. And when you look at the console game, it sort of makes sense, because I think that's how it was originally designed. You find a screen, you click on it, and then another screen comes out. So that information is there. It's just not slapped everywhere. It's just more tidy. And I think I like that. And it's not going to be for everyone. I understand that. But I think I like it. And having looked at the console game, I really love the manager principles at the start of the game. Obviously, when you load up your PC version, you can decide whether or not your manager is a motivator or a tactician, and you get all your attributes and you can slide them around. On the console version, there's something called manager principles, and that allows you to decide what you are. So do you want to focus on high work rate players? Do you want to focus on individual flair? Do you want to be a disciplinarian? Do you want to have a certain philosophy that you're known for? And that when you then start the game, the squad have to buy into your philosophy and your approach. And it's not always going to work. And I quite like that, because having read the development blog, there's talk about your manager being able to have more impact, more unique stories. Are we potentially leaning into something like that, where maybe you are an actual manager and you feel like a manager, you feel like you make a difference? Because I don't know about you, but whenever I go to a club, it feels like I'm always a decent fit. And it shouldn't be, because in real football, not every manager is a perfect fit. And I know I've gone off on a tangent a little bit when we're talking about the UI here, but it's something that I've seen, that I've really liked, and it leads into where I think the game is going to go. And if everyone's saying that it's going to go in towards a console game and a mobile game and they don't like that, I think it's quite short-sighted, personally, because I think that what we are doing is we need to look to take some learnings from the console and mobile market, and the console and mobile market have to take some learnings from the PC market as well. I'm not saying these two things are polar opposites, but I do think the way that the UI is put together now for FM25, based on what I've seen so far, and it might not be this because, of course, everything's work in progress, I do quite like it, and I don't see the need for the anger. But as with everything, let's wait and see how it plays. Okay, I know I'm trying to justify that it's not a mobile game, it's not a console game, but when you hear that things are being taken out, then I understand why people are saying that, okay? Game mode's removed, draft mode's gone, versus mode's gone, creator club's gone. Like, these are, in my view, these are console modes. These are not PC modes. Draft mode, I guess, would probably argue more is a PC mode because of the way that the draft system works, and having been involved in streamer drafts and streamer tournaments, that is sort of a very PC heavy way of playing. However, it's not too dissimilar to EA FC's sessions or even Ultimate Team, I suppose, really. So what you really want to do in that situation is make that environment better. You need to make it live. You need to have a live lobby where you could wake up one morning and go, you know what, I fancy a draft, and I'm going to log on, jump into the lobby, and hey, look, there's a draft on the go now. Let's join that, and in we go. And it doesn't take 6 hours. It needs to be what Football Manager Live was originally back in the day, and I think that was kind of ahead of its time, really. So I think draft mode coming out, it is coming back in. They're going to sort of like tidy up and make sure that the servers run a bit better. That'll be fine. I like that. Fine. Go away, take it away, work on it, bring it back. Create a club. Personally, I've never played it, so it's not a real miss for me. I know some people would use it, but something I can't really comment about, to be honest. International management, however, yes, that has gone. And yes, it's sad that it's gone. I'm not a massive international football manager. I'm doing it currently in Greece on my Build a Nation. But it's just not fun, really, is it? Like, you don't feel like you get any momentum. You can't get any tactical familiarity going because you don't really have any players. There's no training camps. It just needs a rework. And I like the fact that SI is saying, look, you know, had we had our time again, would we do things the way we're doing it? Would we do things differently? Take it out, rework it, bring it back. It just seems like a strange thing to have a football game where you can't win a World Cup, and I can't get my head around that. Like, even for just 1 year, you can't win a World Cup, and it can be the pinnacle of people's saves. It's just getting to that moment, lifting the World Cup trophy, and we're not going to get the opportunity to do that this year. I spoke on the 5-Star Potential podcast with Dupe about this, and he said, you know, has managing the national team in Greece helped the Build a Nation save? And I don't think it has, really. I think the Build a Nation save itself is just the Build a Nation save. It's making Greece the best league and nation we can in Europe and raise them through the coefficients. The ultimate icing on the cake and the cherry on the top would be winning an international tournament with Greece, but it's not the prerequisite. Obviously, if you're doing the San Marino challenge, it's 100% the prerequisite, and therefore you need it. And also, if you're playing women's football, international football for the women is far more important than the league. So, in a weird way, we have the fantastic opportunity of women's football being in FM25. It was meant to be in FM24, remember? Couldn't get it working the way that they wanted it to do, so they've had to delay it to get it into 25. It just seems really strange that, you know, we're a couple of years on from the Lionesses winning the Euros, which inspired a generation of women's footballers and women's football fans and people, you know, players now becoming household names, that you then can't repeat that in the game as well. And it's like, okay, fine. I wonder what would have happened had the men won the World Cup or won the Euros. Like, could you imagine that? Like, if they'd have won the Euros this year and then you couldn't take the job in this game. That's really weird to think about, okay? And it's where it is. It's where it is. And I know there's going to be like a big sort of discussion about women's football and possibly a bit of misunderstanding that people have said, oh, you know, international football's not going to be in because women's football is going to be in, or player weights are not going to be in because of women's football. For me, women's football has been planned for years, right? When I was on Football Manager Therapy, when I hosted that, we spoke to Tina Keach, who's the head of women's football in SI, 3 years ago to talk about women's football when it had been announced that they were going to start doing it. So it's not like they've just started doing women's football 2 weeks ago and went, oh, right, we need to put women's football in, therefore pull all the development from another game mode because we've got a crowbar women's football in. It's not that. Women's football should have been in last year. It hasn't been in last year. It's now going to be in this year. And it's one of the most, some of the comments that I've seen with about women's football, it's so sad. It's so sad, really. Like, I'm really excited to see women's football in. I will play it, and I know there'll be people already in the comments going, well, I'm not playing it. It's a complete waste of time. Your call. Absolutely your call, right? But it's part of football. It's football. So it needs to be in, okay? And I love the fact that it's in, and I love the fact that SI are standing by and saying that it's going to be in. I just think that people need to give it the chance, have a look at it, learn about some players that maybe you've never seen before, because we all learned the Estonian league, we all learned the Latvian league, we all learned the third division in Norway. Let's learn about women's football. Let's learn about some more random generated player names that are just pixels, that aren't real. Let's learn about that, but they just happen to be women. Okay? I think it's going to be fantastic. And being able to seamlessly transition between men's football and women's football, really, really great. Really great. I'm really excited about it. And yeah, I think it's a good thing, personally. Ultimately, where am I on the situation? We talked at the start about what have we been told, how have we been told it, and what have we not been told. So we've talked about what we have been told. How we've been told, I think, is probably part of the concern here. Maybe people think that the messages that have come from SI haven't been clear, they haven't been direct, they've been trying to be transparent and prompt. Maybe the timings have been a little bit off. Maybe. What have we not been told? Well, it's not what we've not been told, it's what we've not been shown. And I think that's ultimately where we're at. Because we've not seen anything, because we haven't seen the match engine, because we don't know what it looks like, that's why people are angry. That's why people are upset. And I get it. I do get it. But as I say, I've played this game for 30 years. I'll still play the game for another 30 years if I get a game that is as good as what I've had already. Okay? And I'm confident that I will get a game as good as we have in FM24. And if it's not, fine. Okay? Fine. SI will be really upset if it's not. They're not going to just put out a bad game because, hey, it's easy and it gets everyone off our backs. If anything, it causes more problems by putting out a bad game, because then they get a lot more backlash. They've got 12 million people playing Football Manager now. There's a much bigger audience to upset than they've ever had. So they're going to make sure that what they put out is the best product they can. And if it is better than FM24, fantastic. If it is as good as FM24, fantastic. If it's not as good as FM24, okay, that's a bit disappointing. But if maybe we can see the roadmap of 25, 26, 27, we can see the improvements going, that for me is the positive. Like, we'll get there. It's the first game in a brand new engine. It's the first game of its kind. Let's not forget that. The first game is never going to be perfect. So whatever it looks like now, the one after it will be an improvement, and the one after it, and the one after it, and the one after it. So I'm sorry, I can't join in the doom and gloom. I am going to stick with the let's just wait and see what happens. And you know what? If I'm wrong, and it is rubbish, and it is the worst game ever, and it does look like a mobile game, and it does play like a mobile game, and it runs so slow because things have been added, and it's dreadful because things have been taken out, and it's unplayable. The phrase I hear, it'll be unplayable. It won't be unplayable. It might not be to your taste. It won't be unplayable. But if it is all those things, then fine. I'll hold my hand up and say, okay, I agree. But right now, this very moment in time, based on the information we have and haven't got, I'm going to hold off until it's launched to have my full opinion. That's where I am. I'd suggest you do the same, but that's entirely up to you. If you do want to pre-order the game, then I've got a link in the description. Use that for the discount code that all the other creators have got. But what I would say as well is come and listen to the FM Show podcast. We talk about this every single week. Keep your eyes on the channel. We're going to start updating the channel as well with some more stuff about FM25 going forward. Links to everything is in the description. And join the Discord. Come and join the Discord and talk to us about it. Let's have the conversations. Let's move the conversation on. Try and allay some fears. And even understand where some of these fears are coming from. Because, as I say, some of these fears, I think, are coming from a place where they aren't able to express exactly how they feel or what they actually mean. So maybe we just need to dig a little bit deeper, and we will find that out. But yeah, as I say, I'd love to join in the doom and gloom, but at the minute, I really can't. So yeah, let me know what you think. I can't wait to see the comments. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, hit a like, folks. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you all very soon. Bye now.